Hi, friend. It's time to get some perspective. It's the best way to get clarity. And I have a number of hacks for you today on how to get perspective easily. Check the different hacks out. If you look at the checklist here, I have hacks for some questions you can pose to yourself and also some things you can do to get perspective and to get more clarity. So let's get going. These are the questions. Sit down somewhere quiet, take a deep breath, and for me, I would like to write down the answers to these questions. But I think you can also answer them in your head. So just pause this episode after each question, and then you can think of the answer for yourself. As when you would fine tune any instrument, you need to calibrate first. So first you need to get a good view on your current situation. And you don't need any details. This question is just where you are right now. Describe in few words, as you would to a stranger, your situation. For me, the answer would be that I'm in a very stressful situation right now. There are a lot of things going on. I'm packing for a trip with my family, and I need to get everything in place in just a few days. Then I also have other worries around this that sort of coming into this stressful situation about what will happen next, what will I do in a few months' time, and a lot of things like that. And when I'm stressed, all of these things can sort of blur together. The second question is a calibration of magnitude. Things look very different depending on if you are very close to them or if you are far away. And we will use this in our first questions. So now look at yourself where you are, and then you zoom out. You zoom out from where you're sitting, your house, your city, your country, and suddenly you're in a spaceship and you're looking at Earth from afar. And write down a few sentences about what you see and what you feel about that, the perspective you get from this far distance. When I just did this exercise, I saw stillness. Right in all this stress, I saw the beauty and I felt awe for this beautiful planet and my little speck on this planet where I am living and all the stress I'm feeling. It felt so small. The next question is also around magnitude, but now we will zoom in and you will zoom in until you have the view of an insect, or perhaps even further, the view of a bacteria. And you look at the world from that perspective. A few sentences of what you feel when you look at the world in this perspective. From my point of view, when I looked at this, it all felt so unimportant. All the things I was doing, or all the things I'm worrying about, and all the things I'm stressing about, is so unimportant on this level. Their life, even though they're very impacted by me, for instance, if it's bacteria living inside me, they're still not concerned about what I do and what I feel. They are living their life and doing what they can in their environment. And that's an important view for me as well, since I could be a person that worry about a lot of things going on in the world and going on in my society. Sometimes you just need to focus on what you can impact directly. Now, when we have calibrated and we have looked at these magnitude perspectives, we will zoom out in time and we start to zoom backwards. Since we are in midlife, we have a quite big perspective. So look backwards and think about yourself 20 years ago. Where were you 20 years ago? What did your life look like? And what was your worries and your hopes and dreams back then? Write a few sentences. For me, when I looked back, it was before I had my kids and before I started a family. And back then, a lot of my thinking and worries and what I thought was important back then had to do with this. I wanted to start a family. I also worked a lot and had a lot of focus on my work and what I was doing back then. It seemed very important at the time. And from my perspective now, I can understand my worries, but I would ask myself to be a little bit calmer about everything back then. So when you're done with your 20 years back, take a leap to 10 years back in time. Where were you then? What were your worries and your hopes and dreams 10 years ago? For me, 10 years ago, my kids were both really small, and I worked a lot back then as well, and worried about a lot of work related things. Me and my husband back then was building a house, and it took forever, and there were many challenges with that. And it seemed very overwhelming at the time. And now it's the same thing there, that I think I was worried about things that I could be quite calm about. I didn't need to worry so much back then. So now we have been getting perspective backwards in time, and now we will look forward in time. And forward, we start with 10 years forward. Where are you 10 years from now? What do you think that you are thinking about? What are your hopes and dreams 10 years from now? When I think of 10 years from now, I will be 60 years old in 10 years from now, and my kids will be in the mid 20s. They will be grown up and having their own lives. And my dreams and aspirations will be to make an even larger impact in areas that I think are important. And I will be very active out in nature and moving a lot and having a lot of adventures going on. Now we take a leap of time again, and it will be 20 years from now. Where are you then? What are your hopes and dreams then? And for myself, then I will be 70 and I will still be working. But now I think I changed my view. I think I moved and I think I'm seeing new things and I have new projects going on. And I'm even more involved in different activities to enhance aspects of society that I think are important and involved in supporting my kids as they are hopefully starting out their families. So now you have sort of a mental perspective. Hopefully, when you go back to now again, you can have a new feeling for the situation you're in. So that's a easy, fast hack you can do. Then there are two other things you can try if you need even more perspective. The next thing to do is to change environment. Leave your current location and go to a coffee shop or go to on a walk, but go to a new place where you usually don't go to see something new. It could be another part of town, a nearby town, or something like that to get a different perspective. Or arrange to meet somebody for coffee. And it could perhaps be someone you usually do not hang out with so much, but just meet over a coffee and take your time and make a decision before the meeting that you will have time for this person and you will try to listen in this meeting. Try not to speak so much about yourself. Listen to the other person and be curious about that person. To get perspective on your own things, it's sometimes very good not to talk about them all the time. Try to look from somebody else's perspective and listen to their story. And if you need even more perspective, you could take time out from your life. Go away for a few days or a week and see something completely different. Visit some friends in another town or rent Airbnb lodgings somewhere and just go away to see something different. And try to think of a place that will give you another perspective, where you know that you will experience other things than you usually do. And this can be so important, especially if we've been inside our own bubble for a long time. We need to see something else to be able to think something else. Don't be focused on getting clarity. Be focused on seeing something different and be there in the moment. And when you get back, the clarity will be there for you, waiting, I promise you. So try to get some perspective and see where you end up. In the checklist for this episode, you will have these different questions to get perspective and the other hacks to change environment, to take time out for your life. Check out the checklist where you have all this and try to get some new perspective, friend. Talk to you soon.